What's up guys, it's National Master Dem Apples here, back again with another video. And today we're going to be taking a look at what, in my opinion, is the greatest game of chess ever played. And this game is between a really good player from the US, from Armenia, earlier, Levon Aronian in the white pieces, and five-time, I believe, world champion Vishwanathan Anand playing as black. So let's take a look at this game between these two greats. Starting out, we have pawn to d4. And, the game seems kind of unassuming for what you would think to be the greatest game of all time. See, we have a semi-Slav here, which is generally really boring. Again, white can just kill the entire game on move 3 here. I've had many people kill the game against me this way, because I played the semi-Slav as well. But, yeah, things go about as normally as possible, both sides just developing their pieces, getting some space, White has, their setups are quite similar, but there is one different thing. Black is clearly trying to instigate on the queen side and get some queenside space. Probably with b4, a5, bishop b7, a lot of times just a6, and pushing c5, opening up this bishop. So this is usually black's plan, and as you can see, black is without his d-pawn, which means that white has a nicer center. And usually what you do with a nice center is you push it. So usually white goes and tries to go e4, and if white can successfully get an e5 at some point, like, black's dead. So it's really tense, and this opening is not for the faint of heart. After castles, queen c2, both sides are just developing their pieces. a3, nice useful move to prevent pawn to b4, but this is all theory. Also, main line is pawn to e4 after pawn to e5. I believe things get quite normal after takes, and I believe bishop e3 is the move, but there are lots of moves here. No, or pawn to h3. But we have more tension in the position after a3. Fewer pieces are coming off the board, and now Vishy goes for rook to c8. Now, the computer is giving this as an inaccuracy, but I don't really think it is. Again, the engine's on low depth, and engines are beatable. I did beat the maximum Stockfish engine with my friend just a few days ago. So, yeah, Stockfish thinking of only a few seconds is not really that smart. This is a theory move. It's just as good as pawn to a6 or rook e8, like it says is the best move. But his intentions are clear. He's going to push pawn to c5, and white's going to have a tough time because his queen is right on c2, or it can be eyed by the rook. Now, Aronian just goes in with knight g5 right away. He just does not care. So, well, what is Aronian looking for? First of all, the most natural move is pawn to h6. Now, you don't really want to go pawn g6 because you weaken all the dark squares around your king. But after pawn h6, he just wants to, after knight to e4, say you take, right? And then he takes back. You could take back with the bishop, but then we could probably just go for knight f6 or gain some space. So he'll gain some tempo. And then after, I don't know, the bishop moves back, say here. White's got a pretty nice bind, to be honest. After b4, it doesn't look like black's getting much counterplay. And if white just sticks his knight on c5, what is black going to do about it? He doesn't even need to. And if he does, of course, that's even, I don't know if that's better or not, but look at black's bishop. It's so out of play, and it's never coming back in the game. Like, you would think, oh, he's going to reroute it. Yeah, that's a really, really long-term plan, and it's pretty far-fetched given that this pawn is in the way. So, white is doing quite well here, and this is what Aronian wants. But Anand has other ideas. He goes pawn to c5, and you might think, what the hell is he doing here, Well, first of all, you might think he's giving away his pawn. In reality, he is not giving away his pawn because there is a nice tactic that he can use to win back his pawn. Bishop takes h2, takes check, king goes back, and now we scoop up this knight. And the material is equal, you might say. Oh, but white can win a pawn. Yeah, but not really. See, black has too many threats here. One is that he can pretty much trap the bishop if he needs to. And the second is that, look at this pressure on g2. Like, black's threat is just to move the knight back, to be honest, and just threaten mate. Well, maybe not this right away because pawn f4 is strong. But you can see here that black has a ton of pressure here. Maybe queen h4 to checkmate right here. And yeah, this, I guess queen h4 is the actual threat right now, attacking the bishop and threatening checkmate. So there's simply too much pressure on white's position, and this is really unplayable for white, because he has no attack, he just has a stuck bishop on h7. So this is pretty nice for black. So what does Aronian play? Well, he plays the most natural move. He takes the pawn on h7. The computer says this is a mistake, but in reality, this is still fine for white. The better move is bishop takes. And I believe Sam Shanklin gives this in his Chessable course, or a very similar line. f4, g6, because as you will see later, white does need to stop bishop h2, for the primary reason of bishop h2, king h2, knight g4, king g1, queen takes knight will transpose into the line we just saw. So f4, g6, and takes, and you might say that, oh, white got like 4 pawns for the piece, but black has a lot of activity here, and white's attack isn't really going anywhere. Like, look at these bishops. This pawn is going to be taken, rook is going to come in, and it's still roughly equal, but it's a really imbalanced position, and it's fun to play for both sides. Again, this does not work, and it's really similar to the line we saw. After knight takes, Anand has other plans and doesn't simply take the knight back because he would just lose a pawn. He goes knight to g4. Now, why is this move so great? Well, first of all, let's take a look at why the most obvious move, knight takes rook, does not work. White's just straight up getting checkmated here. You cannot prevent checkmate. There's like bishop g1, queen h2. Basically bishop moves anywhere, and then queen h2 is checkmate. So this is not going to work out for white. And let's see a couple other options. h3, you might say, is the most logical option. But after bishop h2, king h1, queen h4, this position is equal, but I mean, you're telling me you want to play white when you got this mob of pieces around your king. You got this bishop pressuring you. And by the way, all black threatens is queen takes here, and then checkmate. Or moving the bishop and then checkmating you. Like, if you go and grab more material, this isn't really working for you. You're kind of dead here because your pawn is pinned. You cannot capture here. It's physically not letting me capture. So you have to break the pin somehow. Say pawn to f3. But this is still really, really good for black. You can go queen h4, and all of a sudden he still threatens bishop g3, check, followed by queen h2, checkmate. Not much white can actually do about this. Like, computer is saying some weird stuff like this, but at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter. Like, look at black's attack, and he's only down 4 points. Now, that might sound like a big number, but keep in mind, if he really wants to, he can just grab this knight for free. So, he's only down 1 point, and he's got this monster attack. This is completely winning. Next, we should examine pawn g3. Now, when I first saw pawn g3, I was like, oh, insta-win for black, right? Queen h4, right? And you can't stop checkmate. Because if you take, look at this really pretty checkmate. This is called Bowden's mate. And, no, not Bowden's mate. I forgot what mate this is called. But there's a double bishop, and there's a knight here, and yeah, white is checkmated. And I thought I win here. But this is bad because white goes f3, and all of a sudden everything's attacked and everything's defended. The correct idea is to switch up the move order and take this. And first of all, white has to go with this really weird line where black ends up winning a pawn. But again, white cannot take this because after queen h4 check, white cannot take this queen because the bishop is pinning the pawn. So king g1 and now queen h1 is a really nice checkmate. And lastly, let's see why grabbing the rook does not work. Well, it just does not work for the same reasons as before. So, pawn f4 is played. Again, pawn h3 is probably the better option, but pawn f4 makes a lot of sense to block the bishop. Now, black takes the pawn, and after pawn takes, again, he could have taken here, but I feel like this is kind of inhuman. I mean, black can take back, and you gotta take here, most likely. And after knight f6, black still has quite a lot of pressure. Threatens queen takes pawn, and yeah, you're up some material, I'll give it to you, but then, like, this bishop is gonna get in, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, every single one of black's pieces, with the exception of the king, is in the attack, so white's not doing well, especially because he hasn't even completed development. So, ed4, and now bishop c5. This is such a good move, and let me explain why. So, the most logical move is to take the free bishop, right? Now, Aronian does not do this, and taking the free bishop is actually the best move. Now, black takes back, and your bishop is attacked. And all of a sudden, you know, the most logical move, knight takes rook, it's not that bad, right? But this does lead to some trouble. Queen d4 check, and now knight takes. And you might say, oh, white's up 5 points, white should be doing really well. Well, not really, because his knight is trapped. So he's only up 2 points, because black just takes the free knight whenever he wants. And additionally, if white just dilly-dallies for a second longer, we have a really, really nice checkmate here. Check, 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 check. This is not checkmate because white can take, but yeah. It's important that there are 2 knights that control the f2 square, or else this checkmate would not have been possible. So Aronian goes bishop to e2, attacking the knight and not taking this free bishop. Now, here Anand plays one of the most insane moves I've ever seen, and I'm pretty shocked that he found this move, but it's really logical when you look at it after the fact. Knight d to e5. Wow, what is he doing with this move? So first of all, he gets more pieces in the attack. This knight and this queen. The queen now eyes the pawn on d4. Let's take a look at a few options that do not work for white. First of all, you can't take this knight using the d-pawn because it is pinned. So what if you take the bishop? Well, black's simply going to go check, and after king h1, he's going to go knight f2, and all of a sudden you're screwed because now the queen does not even cover the f2 square. Aronian's last move was bishop to e2, which blocks the queen. And so now, yeah, you're going to have to take to avoid smothered mate, but you can't avoid this checkmate, or the loss to your queen, or both. Additionally, like, if you want to see the smothered mate in action, here it is. And this is all forced, by the way, and note how the queen does not cover the f2 square. So knight d5 is played. What if white takes the knight? Well, this is still smothered mate either way, and it's even faster. So really nice tactical vision from Anand to see knight to e5. Aronian takes the knight, getting a piece off the board, just trying to eliminate defenders. If you've looked at attackers, if you've looked at some of my previous videos, like how to defend, you'll know that exchanging pieces is often one of the best ways to do so. So, of course, black takes the pawn. He could have taken with the queen as well. Both are good, but Anand chose to take with the bishop, king h1, and now knight takes bishop. And you can see what he's trying to do. Like, although taking with the queen is playable, Anand wants to put his queen here and keep control of g1 using his bishop. So, finally, after a long time, Aronian gives in and takes the rook. The engine thinks he should have gone knight to g5. But I feel like this is already past the point of no return. Because, I mean, you're already in a pretty bad attacking position now. And your opponent's pieces have all opened up. It doesn't matter that it's equal material. After pawn to f5, white is still just screwed. Black has a simple plan. He's just going to lift the rook and checkmate you. And it's really hard to stop this. So, again, pawn to f5. stopping checkmate. It would be pretty sad if you played a perfect game and then all of a sudden decided to hang checkmate on h7, but after pawn f5, white is just screwed. So I like this move. If you're going down, might as well take everything you got. And now pawn to f5. Anyways, now why does he play this move? Well, you gotta understand Anand's logic, right? He knows that if he gets queen h4 in, threatening checkmate, this is checkmate. This is just mate in one no matter what. White cannot stop this. If h3, queen h3. But why is this bad? Turns out this knight, even though it's trapped, it is performing a useful function. And after queen h7 check, take. Yeah, Aronian's up 2 points. But this position is equal because black's activity still remains through the endgame. Now, it's equal, right? But you were completely winning. So, better not go down that rabbit hole. Knight g6 is played, freeing the knight, and controlling h4, so queen h4 is no longer possible. But that does not help the fact that this knight is still trapped. After queen f6, the knight is corralled for keeps. h3, attacking the knight. Queen takes, and note that white cannot take this knight because of checkmate. Where everything is controlled, by the way. g1, and now we see why Aronian wanted his bishop. I mean, Anand, why do I keep mixing them up? Anand wanted his bishop on d4 where it controls g1. And so, queen e2 is played. It's the best move, but it does not really change anything. After queen h5, it's pretty clear what Anand wants, and he just wants to take here. Like we said earlier, taking advantage of the pinned pawn on g2. And so, Aronian defends. I mean, the best move is rook f3, but after something even as simple as just taking the free rook and taking back, this endgame, I mean, you're not telling me that you want to play this endgame out, right? Look at this. Look at this pawn structure. Your pieces are still pretty passive, and this endgame is pretty much winning for black. He can go check, and after you move your king, I don't know, this endgame, you know, black's up a pawn, but more importantly, right, first of all, he can make a passed pawn, but second of all, look at these pawns. I mean, they're just terrible. Look at this bishop. It's not going out, and if the bishop's not going out, neither is the rook. So, understandably, Aronian did not want to play this endgame with rook f3, but it was his best chance. After queen to d3, he allows Anand to play the final brilliant move of the game. And we see that Anand's intention is to go here, right? But how can you forcibly do this? He sacrifices the bishop, interposing. So first of all, if you take this bishop, you lose, right? Check, and pick your poison. Either is checkmate. So what should Aronian do? Well, let's see. Maybe he goes rook f3 like last time. Unfortunately for him, rook f3 does not work, because after takes, he still threatens mate, but after takes, this comes with check mate. This is pretty bad. I mean, you can't really do anything about this, and your best chance is actually to play knight e4 here, or knight d5, blocking the bishop, giving up your queen. But, I mean, any player of their caliber would win this position up 7 points of material, and with an ongoing attack against white's king. So, Aronian resigned the game. So, let's take a look at how this game came about, right? It was all just Anand trying to push his intentions, right? He disregarded this threat, went for his own ideas instead. And yeah, it's all about him pushing his own agenda while keeping a close eye on Aronian's. After takes, bishop c5, attacking the pawn. He needs to break through. How is he going to do that? Knight e5, just attacking this pawn one more time. You can't really do anything about it. Takes. And when Aronian finally took here, he just started his attack. But first, he was careful, right? Too many of us have messed up a brilliant game before, or just a really good game that we were winning, right? So there's no point to go queen h4 and allow the exchange of queens. So f5, just being careful. taking everything, and the final position, or at least some of the final positions, just look like something out of a tactics book. You know something's gonna happen when there's a queen, rook, knight, two bishops, and everything just pointing at your king, and white's got nothing developed. And after this move, bishop e3 just seals the deal. What a very nice final move. And yeah, this game honestly is one of the best games I've ever seen, if not the best, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.